Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we are taking a look at my picks from week 10, talking about the matches and taking a look at the current league standings. Let's start by taking a look at week 10 and my picks. You can see them on the screen now. As you can see, my overall record for the week was 7-3, so not too bad. My big pick record was 1-1. But I will say my big picks were both 3-2 games. They both went to 5 maps, and they were both reverse sweeps. So that's that's something. But let's take a look at all of the matches. So let's just jump in. Spark against the Hunters. The Spark were dominant. One-sided series, not even close. Spark, I think, are starting to hit their stride. Godsby was playing very, very well. They only played one game this weekend, but they looked very good. I don't know who they play this upcoming weekend. This weekend is a weird schedule, and I don't really know why this upcoming week is such a weird schedule. I don't know when I'm going to upload my videos, my picks videos. It actually might go up on Thursday, because that's when the matches start, so that might actually be a thing, but it's a really weird week of matches. But I think Hangzhou is actually one of the better teams right now. I think they've looked very good as a whole. I think they've been one of the most impressive teams so far. And they have a somewhat tough week coming up because they have to play Shanghai and then Guangzhou. But I think their match in Shanghai should be a little bit closer, though maybe not, because Godsby won't be able to play Widowmaker or McCree. So it will be a little bit tough, I think, because of that. But I think it was a good week for the Spark. They looked very good. They are looking like a very good team, and I think that they're going to be doing pretty well. I want to group together this Guangzhou Charge Vancouver Titans match with the Chengdu Hunters Vancouver Titans match, because the Vancouver Titans did not look that good this weekend. And the same thing happened, of course, with the San Francisco Shock when they first came back from the break that they had. And they've bounced back since, and they've looked a lot better now. You know, they're climbing the standings on their side. But the Titans did not look very good. They had a lineup that I would say was not ideal, which is strange, seeing as they don't have many players. But they were running Hacksaw, or they weren't running Hacksaw. Sorry, they were running Summonsoo Stitch, and I just don't think Summonsoo Stitch is that strong of a DPS duo. They need another hit scan player. Sominsu's Widowmaker is pretty much non-existent. It's not that good. His McCree is okay. It's not bad, but his Hanzo, he was getting completely decimated by Nero. He was getting completely decimated, or I guess with Happy. He was getting completely decimated by Happy. He was getting completely decimated by Jinmu. They need another player who can play that hero. Their DPS lineup is just not strong enough, and it's especially not strong enough if Hacksaw isn't playing. I don't know why he wasn't playing, but they did not look that good. The Charge looked very good. The Hunters didn't even look that good against Vancouver. They looked pretty good. They looked better than they have in some of these past weeks, but it was not a great match. It was obviously not a great match for Vancouver, and it wasn't really a great match for either, or for the Chengdu Hunters either. So I don't really know what to make of it, but the Vancouver Titans just disappointed me. They did not look that good. I don't think it's over for them. It's early in the season. They've only played 4 matches. They have a lot of time left, but it was not a good look from them. Let's move on to the second match or the first match of the second half of the day on Saturday, which is the Philadelphia Fusion against the Paris Eternal, which the Philadelphia Fusion did win in 5 maps. They reverse swept the Paris Eternal. There was a couple of mistakes early on from the Fusion, some pretty major ones. They looked kind of sloppy, but they came back. They cleaned those up. It was a very good series. It was really, really good. It was very exciting. It was a close one. These are two teams who are both very, very good. and that's what we can just say, like, for certain. Like, these are some very good teams. I think that solidified the Fusion as arguably the top team right now. It's a little difficult because the Seoul Dynasty are also very good, and they have a very talented roster as well. They've only played 2 matches. The Philadelphia Fusion have played 9. They've been very good in those 9 matches. They're a very, very good team, and we're hoping we see a lot more of them. Coming up. But this weekend was a big weekend for them because they played both Paris and Atlanta, 2 teams who I think are both very, very good, very close to the top of the league, and they managed to walk away with both wins, which I think is very impressive and something that needs to be noted because it was an impressive victory. And I think that they are a team who are slowly but surely getting better, and they are a team who I would not be surprised to see as the winner of the Atlantic Conference when the season is over, because I think their roster is just that good. They've looked that good, and none of the other teams have really proven to me that they are capable of being the team to go the distance. The Fusion have only lost 1 game. The Excelsior have also only lost 1 game, but they haven't looked that good. And the only good team they played was Philadelphia, and they lost pretty convincingly. So Philadelphia still looks very good, and I think they are a team to watch out for. I think they really do have a shot at winning the grand finals. I'm hoping we get to see them play against teams like Shanghai, like Seoul, like San Francisco. Eventually, before playoffs happens, I'm hoping that we can eventually get to a point where teams will be able to move a bit and kind of travel to other areas and have temporary setups or whatever where they can actually play other teams, even if it's just like, even if they play in like a studio. I think that would be very, very nice, and I'm hoping we get that eventually. But for now, the Fusion are just going to keep dominating in the Atlantic. And I'm excited to see what teams in the Pacific can do and see how things go. Moving on with the Houston Outlaws against the Boston Uprising, a rematch of the El Clasico, which was pretty one-sided this time around. Houston Outlaws get the victory. Houston Outlaws have been improving. They have been slowly but surely moving up in the world, and they have looked pretty good, all things considered. Yes, they've been playing a lot of pretty bad teams, which helps you look better when you're not playing anybody good. But they have been significantly better now than what they had been, which is very good for them. I like what Houston has been able to do. I think this meta is a little bit better for them. It's certainly a more beneficial thing when they can run some of these heroes that they like. Now, this was a weird week for them because they were not able to run heroes that I think they would want to be able to run. They couldn't run the Sombra. They couldn't run the Reaper, which they were doing pretty well with. They couldn't run the Diva, which is Mecho's signature hero. So they couldn't run everything that they kind of want to run, and they still looked pretty good. They won against Boston, which isn't much of an accomplishment because Boston's not that good of a team, but it was a very good weekend for them. They looked very good. And I think that they are improving every week, and I think that they are a team who, though they had a slow start, I think they are going to just continue to get better and better and better as the season goes on. Because I think they're, in their last 5 matches, they're 4-1, with their only loss being, I don't even remember to who, but like they look pretty good. I mean, they've done very well in their last 5 matches, which is a very good sign for this team. It shows you, that they have improved. They lost to Paris last week. That's right. But other than that, they have an incredible record. They're 4-1 in their last 5. So this is a team who is doing very well, who has managed to do a lot of good things. this season, and they are improving significantly. They are a team to watch out for to potentially be a play-in team, I think, because of how they have been able to manage some wins here down the road. And I think that they are a team that has a possibility to surprise us. Final match on Saturday was the Washington Justice against the Dallas Fuel. Dallas Fuel walked away with the win on that one. Washington Justice, pretty disappointing team, all things considered so far. They had the really bad C9 on Nubani. But the Dallas Fuel looked pretty good. I didn't watch this game as closely as some of the other ones I watched. I was kind of busy. But from what I could see, the Fuel looked pretty good. The Justice just don't look that good. The Justice, I think, they need to make some changes to their team. They need to make some signings. They have a ton of room on their roster. They need to add some more players because they're close, but they're just not quite there. I think they need another DPS player. They need another pretty good DPS player. Stratus is good, but like other than when he's playing Mei, he doesn't look that great. And I don't know if the tank line is an issue. I've really been impressed by Elivote this season. I've actually really liked Elivote's play so far this season. I don't think Arc and Aim God are necessarily the problems. Maybe it's they need another main tank, and they need a better another DPS player. I don't know, but the Justice haven't looked great. The Fuel have been improving. They've won 2 in a row. They look pretty good, all things considered. So we'll see what happens with them. But they have impressed me. So Dragons. The Dragons are just getting better every week. They are contenders for top team in the league right now. You have to put them up there with the likes of Seoul and Fusion for potentially best team in the league. Shanghai looks very good. They look clean. Their roster is incredibly talented. It's an incredible thing to think about, seeing as this team was 0-40 2 years ago, and now they're one of the best teams in the league. But that's just the nature of esports. You can make those types of changes. But they're obviously very committed to their team. They believe in this team, and I'm interested to see what they do. But they dominated the charge. It wasn't even close. Some of the maps were pretty close, but overall it was a very good series from the Dragons. Next, the Houston Outlaws took on the Toronto Defiant. Outlaws won this one in a reverse sweep. I didn't watch this series super closely. I didn't watch the series super closely in the second half of the day on Sunday. But this one and the one against this one and then the Fusion Reign series were both 3-2 series. The Outlaws one was a reverse sweep. The Fusion one was almost a reverse sweep, but the Fusion managed to win on map 5. These are 2 matches, I think, that really just kind of show you where teams are. The Outlaws and the Defiant are kind of these borderline play-in tournament teams. That 12 through 15 spot, right? Or like 11 through 15 spot, I guess. I'll just say it that way, right? These are teams that are really fighting for a spot in the play-in tournament, and they could get one. They might get one, depending on how things go. But it's going to be difficult for them because they have a lot of other teams that they're going to be competing with in the Pacific, who are going to be likely better than they are. But because they're in a tougher conference, they have more losses. So that's something you have to consider. Whereas with the Fusion and the Reign, these are 2 teams who are competing for top 6 playoff spots. The Fusion, I think, are going to get one. Based on what we've seen from them so far. They could collapse as the season goes on and start to look worse, but these are both teams that I think are going to get a top 6 spot. The Paris Eternal, maybe, but it's very difficult to say. There's a lot of actually really good teams this season. Last season, that wasn't really the case, right? You look at last season and you say, okay, well, you had the Shock and the Titans and the NYXL, who were the 3 best teams in the league, right? They were obviously going to make the playoffs. NYXL were going to make it because they were the top team in the Atlantic and no one could really challenge them at that. And the Titans and the Shock were just so good. They were beating everybody. Then that was kind of it, right? You could tell pretty early on which teams were going to be in the top 6, top half of the league, right? And who was going to drop. And things changed, of course. The Atlanta Reign shot up the standings, and, the Hangzhou Spark kind of shot up the standings. And the Shanghai Dragons kind of slowly started to dip a bit. But overall, these teams, it was very easy to tell, right? Like, you could kind of tell who were going to be your top 6 teams. This season, and granted, it's still early, saying who you think is going to be the top 6 is very hard. Because, you know, looking at the standings right now, if the Atlanta Reign want to be a top 6 team, they would have to beat out Fusion, Excelsior, Eternal, and then also beat out the Dynasty, the Dragons, and the Shock. Right? And they still compete with teams like the Spark, a team like the Titans. It's a very, very, very competitive season so far, and it's going to be very interesting to see. There's a lot of really good teams, and I'm really interested to see where it goes. But Outlaws, Defiant, Fusion, Reign, very close series. I think I wouldn't say the matches were bad for the losing teams. They were just good for the winning teams. But it wasn't an awful set of matches. Shock Gladiators, it was a 3-0 for the Shock. The Shock were dominant, and that's about what I'd expect from the Shock. The Shock are back. I think we all expected them to be back, and that's really all there is to say about that one. Ons is very, very good. He's playing very well. Striker, he's back. It was a good series for the Shock. They're making their way back up. Let's take a look now at the standings. Here they are. The big thing is that the Shock are moving up again. The Valiant are back at the bottom of the Pacific Conference, or I guess they're at the bottom. They were never there to begin with. They're there now with the Uprising. So the teams that we had at the bottom 2 of my power rankings are sitting at the bottom of the standings in both situations. Not really anything crazy interesting here. It's all pretty normal. But we can kind of see now at the Atlantic Conference that 3rd and 4th spot between the Eternal and the Reign is going to keep jumping back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, I think, as we keep going here. I'm hoping we'll get to see the NYXL and the Spitfire and the Seoul Dynasty soon. I think all 3 of those teams have relocated to South Korea. I know London did. I think Seoul did, and I think New York did. Neither of those 2 teams have actually come out and said that, but I think that's what they have done. So it'll be interesting because you're going to have to see the NYXL play a lot of matches against some really good teams. They're going to be playing Vancouver and Seoul and Shanghai and Hangzhou and Chengdu and Guangzhou, some teams that they've never beaten. And it'll be interesting to see if they can beat 3 teams that they've never beaten before in a meta that may or may not work for them. But that's the standings. That's everything I have for you today. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing. If you want more stuff like this in the future, comment down below your thoughts on any of the matches that happened. But I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're all having a wonderful time inside. Hope you're all staying inside. Hope you all stay safe and healthy. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.